Good evening, everyone. I think it's a very exciting, chilly January evening, and just one more day, and suddenly we see a month of 2022 over. Things are flying, and we just thought, the pandemic started some time back, and we are already almost 2 years up. In all this, you have been listening to various panel discussions during the day in terms of how the industry has been coping up with the pandemic, what have been the new set of laws, be it in the corporate sector or be it for capital markets, regulatory disputes, uh, court laws. There's been a lot of new set of guidelines and new set of regulations, and a lot of unlearning has been done. But somewhere down the line, while so many new things have happened, so many unlearnings have taken place, uh, somewhere down the line we have missed on the socio-economic part of the laws, which is actually the fundamental basis of law. And as I just heard, in the previous panel, one of the panelists said that law is one of the most honorable and oldest profession. So it goes back to the socio-economic genesis of the globe. And in this, before I get into some of the important trends, I feel which will take a lot of importance in the coming years, in 2022, 2023. I would just like to go back to one of my favorites, John Grisham, and one of the books I read about on the socio-economic background. And basically, Grisham's book, they are very hard hitting. They don't deal with any glamorous laws like, the corporate laws, or, of course, they do deal with a lot of litigations and all, but in very, very hardcore sectors, which, are not the glamorous sectors. And one of such book was the Sycamore Row, where, it was a real estate issue, it was a testamentary issue, and most importantly, it had an ethnic equality message in that, in terms of how racial discrimination was abhorred in that book. And I really appreciated being one of, I think it's one of its kind of John Grisham writing such a book. And if we go to see all our Constitution of India, Constitution of US, Constitution of all the Commonwealth countries, socio-economic justice has been the fundamental genesis of all laws. And somewhere down the line, in all this, pandemonium of the pandemic, if I can say, uh, importance to this has been not up to the mark. But the effect of these laws will be seen going forward, because the population in general are getting affected in a socio-economic. And when I say population, I also mean the corporate population. So I feel, laws which deal with equality, white collar issues, white collar crimes, please don't, take me amiss. We don't talk much about it, but there are pink collar crimes, white collar crimes, a lot of digitization in healthcare and healthcare laws. And of course, very important are, the ESG factor. Corporates are now very, very strict, and they have to be stricter in terms of ESG compliance, socio-environment governance compliance. It's very important because what now the corporates across the world are stressing more, and investors are stressing a lot on transparency. How corporates are transparent in their disclosures, in their reportings, in their business structures, in their compliance of supply chain, procurement, environment, environment compliance guidelines. These are gaining, I think, 88% of the investors are concentrating on this transparency in the corporate sector. And associated with this, I feel laws trending in the cyberspace, cyber fraud, how to tackle cyber fraud. Right now, we do have the laws, but there is not much of enforcement. There's not much of, straight guidelines in terms of, compliance of this laid down in the country. The privacy laws, we still don't have a proper privacy law. So a lot of work is going to get done in this field, and I feel that's going to be the trend, because uh, con- compliance, transparency, socio-economic development, gender sensitivity, very important. Uh, these are the things, where the country, as well as we as lawyers in house, as well as practicing lawyers, there's a lot of scope. There's a lot of unmet need in this, and there's a lot of scope to develop either a practice or to develop expertise in house also in these areas. Because today, people are, they are just after corporate, complex structures, M&As, complex disputes. Somebody spoke about, real estate, I heard. Even real estate has become very complex today. So while, there are a lot of people who have been concentrating, lawyers have been concentrating on these fields, but the socioeconomic area is still, it's unmet. And there's a lot of thinking that needs to be done, not only at a corporate level as in-house counsels, but also as a policy. So I think, the policy practice is, I see there's a lot of future in the policy practice, in the socioeconomic. And no country or the legal system of any country or the legal jurisprudence of any country will grow or will reach its pinnacle unless, this system is strengthened and is given importance. Uh, many years back in the US, the litigators or the ambulance chasers. I'm not saying, you don't have them today. You do have them today. But things have changed. Today, if you see the world, you see the world economics, you see the world politics. It's a totally different way of looking at things. War crimes. Again, it has a socio-ethnicity, uh, socio-ethnicity background. You see the policies, the intercompany policies, inter-country policies. They are so much based on what the country's economics is. Today, a corporate is able to negotiate in any field, whether it's a cross-border M&A or raising, a sovereign bond or raising a near sovereign bond. A lot of it not only goes behind the financials of the company, but also goes behind what is the company's social culture. What is the company's ethical culture? It's a lot of importance is placed. And this is also uh, read, or it is also considered along with the country's socio-economic environment. And I think in terms of the laws, at least in India, a lot needs to be done. And it's an area which is wide open. Very little work has been done, though, the government, the prime minister's policies, there are many schemes, for women, for the underdeveloped, for the poor and needy, but, they're all on paper. It's we as lawyers, we need to raise above the bar. We have to raise above the bar, and we have to make um, these laws meaningful, these laws implementable. And if, as lawyers and as even new lawyers, I would say, college freshers, when a college fresher or a law graduate looks for a job after college, depending on the college, you go for your interviews. You go for your, tier one, tier two, tier three, whether it's the company or the law firm. But at the end of the day, what are you looking for? How many of us have the guts to do something different? But this is where, I would want to speak to all my friends, my young friends across the fraternity, is just don't go by what is there already, what is already, what is already there. Don't try to get things on the platter. A lawyer should never aim to get things on platter. A lawyer should never say, okay, yes, I have got, this job in this law firm with this X salary, or I've got this job in this company at X salary. That's not a lawyer. A lawyer has to do beyond, because lawyers are the thinkers. Lawyers, if you see all the old thinkers and the Democrats, they all are socio-economists. That's how they have developed. And that is where somewhere I want to tell all the young people here that please think, beyond your, corporate M&Es, your investments, your capital markets, your pref allotments, your cross-border disputes. I would say definitely do think about, your compliance of your company, but don't just restrict yourself there, go beyond. Try to develop a culture first within yourself of a socio-economic ethical culture, and then try to share as youngsters or as seniors, try to share and imbibe first within your group, within your team, and then slowly, I am 100% sure you will make that impact on others. And as lawyers, if we stop thinking beyond what is already there, if we stop thinking beyond the existing, the work, the legal work which we do, then we just die out as lawyers. So, my when I speak or when I think, the new trends, I feel, this is one trend where a lot of work will be done, needs to be done. And as I said, social laws, environmental laws, governance, uh, special crimes, a lot of digitalization of health, health laws. These need to be developed. The entire healthcare is changed after the COVID, the pandemic. And it's not, this particular virus somehow has got a lot of limelight. It's not that there have been viruses earlier and there have been more dangerous diseases. And I mean, I can tell you even today, because I come from a healthcare corporation, there are more number of people dying in tuberculosis today than number of people dying in COVID-19 today. At least 3 times more per day statistics. I can tell you that. So, let's go beyond, let's think of, when we think of a social development in the law of healthcare, let's think comprehensively. So that is something which, I always feel, we should work towards it. There's a lot of scope. My fraternity, my GCs in my industry and GCs, of other industry, my brethren in the law, the legal profession. I think we should all, rise up to the bar, and that as a country and as a cross-border legal political economy, we can put ourselves in a much better position.
We heard you, asking us to instill some sort of consciousness in us and, go beyond the call of duty to, prove yourselves as a lawyer. I'd really like to ask you, we are today hosting this for our young lawyers. Some of them may switch to in-house roles if they are currently in litigation or corporate, in corporate law. What would be your message to them? What can they do better to become business accelerators, to become, more socially and say more conscious of, some of these ESG factors and sustainability? These are some of the jargons that we hear, but at some point it has to come from really realizing that why climate is important, why carbon footprint has to be reduced. It's for the world, and it's not just for for the sake of an organizational compliance. Your thoughts, ma'am?
Yeah. So, see, ESG is not actually a very new concept. It's always been there. Environmental compliance, corporate governance, and of course, socio-ethnic transparency and socio-ethnic issues in corporate is relatively a new concept. What I would like to tell, the young lawyers, and yes, I know, today is an award ceremony and congratulations to all of them, is firstly, just when you are joining a new law firm or you're joining a new company, just forget whatever you have learned, or forget, uh, you know, forget about your expectations. I think that is first thing. Um, a new joinee or a fresher, or somebody who is junior, should keep in mind, because a wet clay is very easy to mold. That is one thing. But simultaneously, not to forget the fundamentals, you know, so what you have learned, or what is the ethos beyond learning. It's not, just learning the law and the sections and the provisions. Why is this law there? That is something, the person should not forget, and not forget throughout the life. Because if that is there, then the person progresses, thinks more, and also, is more welcome to any new laws in that area, or any new law. Because uh, the fundamentals and the reason or the object behind the law becomes important, and you move with that. I think that is what I would like to tell all my young colleagues who are there in this event.
Thank you so much, Ms. Partap. What a great tip to our young lawyers. I'm sure it's going to augur well for them to have heard this. Thank you so much for your session today. Such wonderful thoughts, and thank you so much for your time.